Question 12, where Don says, was there a reason for choosing the forms that have evolved upon this planet? And if so, what was it? Was there a reason for the logos to choose the forms that we have now here? Ra says, we are not entirely sure why our logos and several neighboring logoi would, of approximately the same space-time of flowering, chose the bipedal, erect form of the second density apes to invest. It has been our supposition, which we share with you as long as you are aware that this is mere opinion, that our logos was interested in, shall we say, furthering intensifying the veiling process by offering to the third density form the near complete probability for the development of speech, taking complete precedence over concept communication or telepathy. I actually like that that view or that definition, or parallel to telepathy, and we'll get to that. But first, what's the question and what is the answer? The question is if there is a reason, in essence, for us to be the way we are. Why are we the way we are? Was this a plan? Was this something that the logos designed for one particular reason? And so Ra first acknowledges their ignorance on why. They don't know, which I kind of enjoy and like. You know, you can see the humanity, can I use that word for Ra? You know, the limited aspect of Ra. And yeah, they're not entirely sure. I also love how they say, you see, phrasing is everything. Pay attention to this. When they say, why are logos and several neighboring logoi, they refer to other stars around. So I would say Proxima Centauri and other ones, which I'm not really sure which are all the neighboring ones. I don't know if Sirius is too far. Could that be considered? Although they're different, they're tree-like, apparently, according to Ra. So, in any case, why neighboring logoi decided to have the same bipedal erect form that we have in apes, right? So it seems like, and they say flowering. I love that so much more than, you know, evolution. It sounds so dry. So flowering, it's blossoming. Yes, it's something that it's happening. You know, it's not some random stuff impacting another and cause and effect kind of thing. You know, there's a flowering of the shape and form that we take, and everything takes. Everything is like a flower. You know, this is a Chinese concept in Taoism, at least, that, you know, things grow. Things are not made. They're not out of parts. They're growing. They're changing. They're transforming, and there are no parts. There are no parts. We haven't seen a part yet. All we see is patterns, not parts. All right, so yes, Ra does offer their supposition, and I'll emphasize, because I know they would like that you are aware, you the listener, that this is their mere opinion. And I kind of like their opinion, but let's not forget that that's their opinion. They say and they think that our logos, they call it our logos because remember, Ra evolved in Venus, our sister planet in so many ways, that our logos was interested in further intensifying the veiling process. What does that mean? You already know that the veiling process caused this ignorance of who we are. We don't know that we are the creator. And so we look at each other and say, you look familiar. You look human, just like me. But I'm not sure who you are. And I can't see your mental processes, nor can I see my own deep mental processes, unless I really devote myself to it, and then I find that me and you are the same. So that is the veiling process. Now, the logos, according to Ra, in their opinion, the logos might have wanted to intensify that veiling process. How so? Well, That is to giving the third density form ourselves, because of our structure, the way our body is made. We can only communicate in verbal form, right? Or written form. You understand my meaning. It's a very crude way of communication. They say the near complete probability, right? Offering the third density, the near complete probability for development of speech, taking complete precedence. Okay, so speech, verbal communication, complete precedence over concept communication, or telepathy as we know it. You see, in telepathy, let's say I communicate to you, I want a glass of water. You don't hear the words, I want a glass of water. You just suddenly, get the message. And that's a concept, need for water. I can't describe it in words because I water it down. But you understand the meaning? Like, that's telepathy. That's concept communication. And so this makes a lot more sense. And believe me, we would have no problems, or not nearly as many problems as we have on Earth, is if we communicated this way. Because what we do is that we use words to describe concepts, and then we don't agree with the concepts because we all think of a different thing, so if somebody reads a definition, they'll interpret it in a completely different way than the other. So why is this intensifying the veiling process? Because we become even more ignorant of what we're trying to say or what we're trying to communicate, and it's difficult, to understand the other person, let alone know the other person. To understand them is very difficult. So that intensifies the veiling process. Why would the Logos want to do that? Is it evil? Does it want bad things for us because it wants us to break the duality here? The Logos is you. You are the Logos incarnated. So it is an experience. It intensifies the experience so it has a more vivid one. You see? I'll probably talk about this in other questions in this episode, but think of the intensity of the experience as the gradual or graduation. I'm talking about not graduation and graduating, ascending, but modulating, right? The difficulty of the experience. See, the difficulty lies between I know that I am the creator and I have no idea who I am, right? So maybe modulating these two extremes, that's where we get an intensity of experience. Why? Because if it's easy, like it was prior to the veil, it was boring. There was no polarization or very little, and it was just plain boring. Think about it as a game. If the game is easy, would you want to play it? You won't. Maybe you try it. You say, okay, I did it. That's it. Is the purpose of the game beating the game? Obviously not, because then you would be satisfied. You would say, well, I beat the game. I'm so satisfied. But you're not. You want to add a little level of difficulty. See, you're playing against somebody else in chess, right? And you're way better at them than them, right? At the game. Would you continue to play them? No, you won't. Or you're playing against somebody who is way better than you. Would you continue playing? No, you wouldn't. So you want to modulate that intensity of how close am I, to winning. Winning is irrelevant. And a lot of us in planet Earth, we have forgotten that, and now we get into competitive playing because it's fun. It plays with that same dynamic. It creates that sort of mini mental orgasm of winning or losing, depression. But we forget that it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. That's the purpose of the game, for it to be fun. And so the creation is supposed to be enjoyable. Let's not call it fun. Let's just call it enjoyable. And so it is not enjoyable if it's too easy and I know who I am, or perhaps if it's so difficult that I have no idea who I am. So let's continue on, and I'll continue with this analogy as it's appropriate. Ra finishes and says, we also have the supposition that the so-called opposable thumb was looked upon as an excellent means of intensifying the veiling process, so that rather than rediscovering the powers of the mind, the third density entity would, by the form of its physical manifestation, be drawn to the making, holding, and using of physical tools. So once again, instead of using the mind, that's the level of difficulty you see. If you knew who you were and you had the power of the mind as opposed to using this feeble body to do things, then you wouldn't care much about life, right? You would be using your mind to do everything, and you know that you're the creator, nothing is at risk, there is no passion to anything, and so on. That's pre-veil conditions. And now with the addition, again, this is their supposition and opinion, Ra's opinion, the opposable thumb allowed us to create tools. Yes, that's what allowed us to grab things and to use physical arrangement of things to facilitate our lives. That's kind of primitive when you compare it to the mind. If the mind can use its power to build things, because, well, just like telepathy, you communicate concepts. With the mind, you build without having too many issues, right? Or planning too much, and your structure doesn't fall away because you need to learn how to build it. So making, holding, and using of physical tools, this intensifies the veiling. Again, my interpretation of what Ra's saying here is because the power of the mind would be easier to wield as opposed to your hands. And we have been learning and continue to learn how to build stuff and create better structures. So that intensifies the experience for sure. It's a little bit more challenging, let's put it that way. The game becomes more challenging, and we all know that. Nobody can agree by saying, no, I want an easy game. Those are the ones who are tired of losing, who haven't learned the game. The game is about fun. And so you'll continue to lose because you're not paying attention to the meaning of the game. It's to be, enjoy, have fun. We've lost that. And so we need to trace it back. I'm not making a light joke on this. I know there is an ego structure in our minds that needs to be dissolved, because that's the one that is causing the issue. That's the one that is winning or losing. And as long as we have that, then life is not very enjoyable for sure.